Tapes and Scowls, a podcast where two friends review every single movie they watch.
Tim,
Yeah.
we're on video.
Video?
That's what all these devices are. Those are cameras.
Why the hell did we do that?
You said it'd be a good idea.
And you listened to me?
Yeah.
Well, now that it's here, it's terrifying.
There's a lot of them pointed at us.
I forgot we're ugly.
We are.
Like a lot.
Yeah, and often, people are really lucky we got dressed.
Oh, I do have pants on.
Yeah,
Okay,
yep,
good.
We're good. We're good on pants. Yeah, we got a lot of the cameras. Do the thing where you make it go from camera to camera. Do it. Come on. Boom, 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 boom. That's how that works.
That's a lot of booming.
It is. And we got all this fashioned entirely out of AOL discs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That reminds me. Here you go. I got another one for you.
Oh, good.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
Some
we need
AOL
this. This is
discs.
an all new version.
I figured, if we're going to have video, there should at least be an AOL disc in the shot, right?
Well, there is. This is all sanded down AOL discs.
That's right.
Glued together. It's just all filed down pretty nice here.
It's amazing what you can do with AOL discs.
If you have enough time, you can do anything.
I like AOL Java the best.
Oh, yeah. You can see where all the discs were.
Yeah.
It's like a tree. You know how
So
old he is
many.
because of the rings.
That's right.
Yeah. It's really cool.
Well,
We've been doing this 200 times now. This is the 200th start.
it's wild.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking the ride.
Yeah. Why are you here watching us? We
Yeah.
appreciate it, though.
Well, we're going to lose them now because we's ugly, and now they know.
They do.
You know, you listen to a podcast for a few years, and you kind of have a vision of what the person looks like, and then you
There's
see
some
them. and you're
attractive
like,
men
"Ugh."
here.
You're like, ugh.
Like these are the ugly chuds that have been talking down to me for all these years. Yes.
The voice of an angel.
The face of a demon.
That's right. Oof. Sorry.
That's all right. We try. This is how our moms made us.
That's true.
It happens. But we got a special episode. We had to do a special thing for this 200th attempt.
That's right.
Yeah. Tim and I both decided we were going to pick a movie and force the other person to watch it. And we are going to try to guess their score.
Crazy.
Crazy.
Crazy talk.
And we are going to talk about and ask some questions about the movie. Maybe talk a little bit about podcasting, etc. Etc. You don't know. Because we don't know. We
Nobody
don't plan
knows.
that far ahead.
We wing it every time.
Every single time. You're lucky we watch goddamn movies, to be honest.
You're very fortunate. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah. Crazy.
Fortunate.
Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first and lead you through this process?
I don't. You can lead me.
All right.
Like a small child.
We will do Tim first. Tim had the pleasure, hopefully, of watching Angel Heart.
Angel Heart.
Which he had never seen before. So my methodology of going to figure out what I should have Tim watch was simply going through my movie collection and seeing what I think Tim would like based on Tim's tastes.
Well, the movie begins with A. You didn't get very far.
That's right. Well, actually, I went through and I pulled, and some of them are probably still sticking out. I pulled them out a little bit to be like, I think this one, I think this one, I think he might like this one. I'm not sure if he's seen this one before, but I think this is up his alley. So that was my goal here, was to kind of go through that way. And we landed on Angel Heart.
Angel Heart, which I had not seen prior.
He has not seen Angel Heart.
That's right.
So this is his first time. You want to tell us about it? You got your little
I've got information.
information.
It's from 1987, Angel Heart. I watched it on the 13th of March, 2023. It's an hour 53 horror mystery thriller directed by Alan Parker, who did Evita
Yeah.
and Mississippi Burning. It's true. Starring Mickey Rourke, Robert De Niro, and Lisa Bonet. Your IMDb movie summary. A private investigator is hired by a man who calls himself Louis Cypher to track down a singer named Johnny Favorite. But the investigation takes an unexpected and somber turn.
Yeah.
Those names. There's also Harry Angel. Oh boy. But names aside,
Yes.
movie's pretty fun. This is definitely a Max type of movie.
Yeah.
This is noir. This is a mystery. This is a detective story. We're trying to figure it out.
Yep. Got horror elements in it for sure.
It's got horror elements, but you're not sure to what level, to what extent. You meet De Niro pretty early on.
Yes.
And he looks like a creep. He talks really slow. His mannerisms are super good. They definitely convey that there's something off with this guy.
You'll never want to watch Robert De Niro eat an egg after this film.
Oh my God, no. What a disturbing scene.
Oh my God, it's horrifying.
And he's just eating an egg.
Yes.
But yeah.
He makes it a really difficult experience to behold.
And he offers him the egg.
Yeah.
So De Niro, you have a pretty good idea that there's something probably otherworldly about him. Maybe it's not as obvious, but so if he's not supernatural or demonic or something, he thinks he is.
Right.
So you don't get a ton of supernatural in the movie. There's a lot of implication though. So you're kind of following Harry Angel, and you're just like, which is Mickey Rourke before he did whatever he did to his face.
That's right.
This is a almost pretty Mickey Rourke.
Almost. This is as pretty as he gets.
Yep. This is also the movie Lisa Bonet got a lot of shit for.
Yes.
And if you watch it, you'll know why. But it's a pretty interesting movie. It flows really good. I felt like I was going with him on this investigation. I felt like I was being taken on a journey. It felt correct. It felt really good. Mickey Rourke is a very interesting character, Harry Angel, because he acts like he wants to do everything by the book,
right?
But then he does some questionable shit.
Yes.
He's just like, well, fuck it, I got to get to the next part. How am I going to get there? A little questionable.
That's right.
I get that idea that as a want, and he's really as the movie goes on, he feels more and more like with his back against the wall. But things just get so out of hand, and I think every character, once he ends up in Louisiana, everything feels uncomfortable.
Yes.
Everything's weird. And he's just like going to a jazz club and like talking to an old jazz player. And like, then there's like a little bit of voodoo gets brought in. And I'm just like, oh no, now there's voodoo.
Yeah.
Now we're getting into things that could actually be occult, could actually be demonic.
Yeah.
If the devil's real, this is the means to get to him for sure.
Yeah.
The movie is really dark. The end is really, really good. I think De Niro's, it's such a weird performance for him, but every time he shows up, like, you pretty much have a good idea of what's going on with De Niro the whole time.
Right.
And like, he'll show up just so briefly and just be so incredibly calm. And De Niro can be loud and bombastic, and he's just like really calm, really just like, oh, what do you think? Why do you think that? What are you doing? And the way he talks feels like he's playing him. You feel that the whole time. I thought De Niro was great. I kind of wish there was more, but maybe not. Maybe that would have ruined it.
It's tough to say.
The scene in the church towards the end, the back half of the movie, is so good, where they're just meeting up in the church, talking to each other in the pews. And De Niro is like incredibly scary, but not because he's doing anything. He's not doing anything but eating an egg once and playing with his weird nails.
He has terrifying fingernails.
There is a cool little surprise and twist. I was leaning towards that twist. But I always look for fucking out there oddball things. That's just what I do. But I don't think I completely guessed it in the end. Just bizarre movie for sure.
It's one of those movies that I saw, and it was so. When I saw it, I wasn't prepared for what it was.
It's a hard thing to prepare for.
Yeah. I was just like, whoa. Like, it was one of those movies that really helped inform me of what a movie can do and how big a movie can be, yet at the same time be very small. Because at the same time, the story of Harry Angel is a small one. Like, what he's setting out to detect is something very small.
Right.
Like, what he comes, like, the ending is so close to him that he doesn't even realize it in the start of the movie. And it's so interesting and terrifying. And that, like, a journey that involves heavy self-exploration can often be, people spend their lifetime doing it, right?
Right.
Like, it really helped typify that, I think. And one of the reasons I recommended it to you is because the tone is so unique and because that ending is so in your wheelhouse.
Oh, for sure.
Like, if Tim could write a fucked up ending, it would be a lot like Angel Heart.
You're kind of right.
Yeah.
You know me.
Yeah. So I was really like, I was wondering if you would guess it or see it coming, because it kind of starts to, I think by Act 3, you heavily are like, okay, what is he actually doing now?
Well, because when you get to the third act, he hasn't actually solved too much about the character in question that he's investigating.
Yeah,
and I'm
Johnny
like,
Favorite.
That's why I'm starting to kind of lean like, there's something weird here. There has to be.
Yeah.
Because as the movie progresses, you're more confident in saying there's something weird with De Niro.
Yep.
And you're just like, well, I'm also confident that he's a pretty good detective. He got all the way to this point. Why is he not getting farther?
Yeah.
There's a reason.
It's so good, and I think Rourke does a nice job of in the beginning. You're behind, like you can sympathize with Harry Angel, and you're like, this is a good dude, and he's just like, and then as things go, you're like, is this a good dude?
I don't know if this is a good dude.
What does he start like? The more he uncovers about the case, the more you start to see, like you said, he seems very like Boy Scout almost in the beginning, and then he immediately, as soon as things get kind of difficult, he takes the easy road,
right?
And it's just like, that's a little sus. Like, that seems opposite of the way we saw him up to this point.
When he deals with the doctor, the old man.
Yes.
That's the first, like, sign of it, where it's, like, definitive. Like, he's not necessarily by the book.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you kind of see where it's just like, he'll take the easy choice, or he'll make the choice that... he's not such a Boy Scout. The stuff he does with Lisa Bonet is a really good example where it's like, what, like, this is totally like, okay, that's what you're up to. All right, whatever. Like, you know what I mean? You see kind of the evolution of what he's looking into and how dark the path truly gets. And it's like, man, this is so smartly done.
Yeah, I feel like this started as a Max movie, and then it did turn into something I would have done at the end.
Definitely. I think the way it looks, very much in my head, if I had to pick a Tim style, this movie feels like it.
Sure.
Like, it's got that look. Like, I definitely think of, like, the elevator comes into my head, and I was like, this is very much like, I mean, the way it's shot, the heavy light and shadow contrast. Obviously, very head noddy to noir, but this, like, gritty industrial version of noir.
Sure.
Which definitely harkens to something that I think you would like.
Any scene in the church was amazing.
Yeah. That, like,
even early on, the early scenes with the church, I'm just like, everything about this is so uncomfortable.
How gritty and nasty it gets versus how clean and, like, polished and, like, true, like, classic Gothic it gets, and the fact it juxtaposes this modern industrial grossness with the purity and polished and clean and, like, kind of untouchable, like, elegance that is, like, the old style of Gothic.
Right.
It's really interesting, and then you get the voodoo stuff, obviously, that kind of creates that third layer to it, and it really gives you this very different texture. You go such a long way from him getting those little sunglasses in Coney Island to when he goes into gets into Louisiana, and it's just like, oh my god.
Even like when you start seeing the voodoo stuff happening, you're still like, are these just people who believe a thing? Like, are they like normal people, and they just kind of like, this is what they believe,
right?
You know, this is their version of a religion, I guess we'll say.
Right. Definitely.
So it's so many layers for sure.
It is. And like the idea of belief, and what does that mean, and how important is that, and what does, you know what I mean, like, and does belief, and like, what are the core values that tie all the beliefs together, and what's truly right and what's truly not just what I say is right, not just what you say is right, what, you know what I mean, that like culture clash. There's a lot going on under the surface of this movie.
A ton.
Yeah.
I think Mickey Rourke plays it perfectly.
He does. He's really good at it. De Niro, like you said, just very understated performance that kind of leaves you wanting more. Like, you want more, but you don't know if you want more, and then you question yourself for wanting more. You're like, what's wrong with me?
And then they give you more, and then you have a lot of questions.
Yep. Lots more. Yeah.
And you feel like you enjoyed your ride, but you feel dirty and gross for having been on it.
That's so good.
Yeah.
So good. I enjoyed it quite a bit. And like I said, it was a pretty eye-opening movie for me to watch. I was like, I think Tim would appreciate this just because of what it's doing in the story. Like you enjoy small story with a big concept behind it.
Yeah.
This is almost like big concept with a really small story at its core. Lots of big ideas and huge implications, but the core concept of the story is minuscule in scope. So I was like, I wonder how he'll go. Like, this is the reverse of the way Tim usually likes his movies, but I think in a good way.
Right. I agree. I think all the elements are there.
Awesome.
You want me to do these scores for you?
Yeah, give me the first couple and I'll try to guess your score.
Okay, so IMDb gave it a 7.2.
Okay.
Rotten Tomato critics, 34 of them, 82%.
Okay.
Rotten Tomatoes audience, 81%. That's 25,000 plus.
Okay.
So you've got my score. I also guessed what I think you gave this movie.
Excellent. That's exciting.
So,
I'm going to guess your score is an 8.0.
Okay. I'm going to guess your score is a 9.0.
I think that's pretty spot on.
Yeah?
Yeah, this movie is awesome. I like it a lot.
I gave it an 8.5.
Damn, I was so close.
Yes.
So close. But I'm glad to see you really enjoyed it. That's
I
a rare number for you to give.
It is. I've learned a little.
Yeah.
Well,
no, it's
200
good.
episodes.
No, I think it's a good thing that it's like, it feels like, you know what I mean? It's not just any movie you're going to, like, even if you're like, oh, he must really like this. Like, you identified why I like it. And it's, this is definitely up his alley for a lot of reasons. You didn't just soft lob it. Like, I wouldn't care if I didn't think you'd give this like a 4 or a 3, like anything like that. Because I think it's just too well done and it does all the things you like. The pace, I think, is really surprisingly good for how little goes on. It's just a lot of him, like, literally investigating, going through people's shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Breaking into places he shouldn't. You know what I mean? Where you're just kind of like watching him.
And just how weird it gets at the end. Probably from like the horse race on. Like that scene's super weird. And I'm just like, what is this anymore?
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah,
That's
totally
where
crazy.
the wheels start coming off the wagons.
A nice job. We navigated no spoilers in that one, so that's pretty cool.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Good. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for giving it to me.
Yeah. No, this was a cool idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should probably do this more often.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we've seen so many movies. I guess it's hard.
Yeah, it is. It is for sure. So you made me watch a movie.
I did. I made you watch Falling Down.
Oh, Falling Down.
Because I look at movies that I think are pretty fun, and I'm like, we didn't do Falling Down. Like, we talked about Falling Down, but we never did Falling Down.
It's like RoboCop.
It's like RoboCop. Why have we not done RoboCop?
I know.
I literally own that on every format.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, Falling Down.
Falling Down. So let me pull up. So I don't have notes because I'm bad at this.
He's a bad boy.
I do have it all pulled up here. This movie is from 1993. It's an action crime movie. It's 1 hour and 53 minutes long. It's directed by, of course, I don't have to look at it for this, but the Joel Schumacher.
Yeah.
Fantastic. We got the Michael Douglas. We got the Robert Duvall. We got the Barbara Hershey.
There you go.
If you like The Entity, Barbara Hershey.
There it is.
You go.
There it is.
There you go.
There it is.
Yeah, I think it's quite good. Your description here, as per Googles. A middle-aged man dealing with both unemployment and divorce, William Foster, played by Michael Douglas, is having a bad day. When his car breaks down on a Los Angeles highway, he leaves his vehicle and begins a trek across the city to attend his daughter's birthday party. That's right. As he makes his way through the urban landscape, William's frustration and bitterness become more evident in violent encounters with various people, including a vengeful gang and a dutiful veteran cop.
There it is.
That explains a lot without telling you kind of what's bubbling under the surface.
Right. There's a lot of layers to Michael Douglas in this.
Michael Douglas, yeah, this movie is so smartly done. From a not just a story perspective where you kind of watch Michael Douglas get fed up with the same thing all of us get fed up with all the time.
Yep.
Stuck in traffic, getting nickel and dimed everywhere you go, overpriced bullshit, having to deal with, you know what I mean, people who think that they own things, like the idea of people's ownership, the idea of urban crime and like the concept of that, and then going into even the concept of homosexuality and like homophobia and that kind of hatred based upon it. So there's some not okay stuff. If you have trigger warnings, this movie definitely hits on some of those trigger warnings, some unfun words here, but it's from a character who would say those things. So not supporting it in any way whatsoever. I feel like Michael Douglas kind of does about that kind of stuff in this movie. So, but I think it is there to make a point. And this movie, I think one of the things that it is, and I say this about certain movies, this movie feels like a time capsule.
Sure.
You watch this movie and be like, I know exactly when this movie was made. Like, I know exactly when this movie came out. All the way down to the little suction cupped Garfield plush on the car. It's like, yep, I know those. The nuances of the fact that the eyeballs, the white plastic eyeballs, had scratches on them, as they always did.
Yeah.
Man, was that cool.
Yeah.
It's just like, that is just such a moment in time. And this movie kind of hangs on and hinges itself on those, which really makes it fit into Michael Douglas is somebody in the mid-90s who has to deal with all of this stuff.
For sure. Michael Douglas is so good. And I like that they're kind of talking about they talk about tropes as well in this, because Robert Duvall is very much like, I'm one day away from retirement. He's that character.
Yes.
But like, he cares so much, and he's just, I guess he's the antithesis, but not really, because like, he can sympathize so much with him.
Michael Douglas has been forced to give up everything he has, and he's in a position where he's bitter about it.
Right.
Robert Duvall willingly gives up everything that he holds important because of someone he loves.
Right.
Where someone he loves forces Michael Douglas into this position where he lost everything. So the kind of the juxtaposition, I feel like, is, their positions are opposite of each other. They have a shared common ground, but they've experienced it from two different ends. One from a caring, compassionate person who uses, who loves and feels that kind of thing, versus somebody who uses fear to guide that, where
Right.
Michael Douglas definitely is. He's terrifying, legitimately.
Super terrifying.
Same way Robert De Niro commands a performance in Angel Heart. Michael Douglas is terrifying. The way the other characters react to him, the way Barbara Hershey does, the way the woman who plays his mother reacts to him as a human. It's like, this dude, and it's like, has he ever done anything? Oh no, he's never done anything like that. But it's just, what he's capable of, and it makes him so scary for it.
Right.
It's like, he doesn't ever lose his temper, but he's always right on the edge of about to.
Right.
And it's like, oh my God, it's so upsetting.
The close-ups of his brow, his sweaty brow, and he wipes the soda can on it. There's cool little filmmaking ideas that they throw in here where it's like, we get that. We get being so hot that you're just like, I got to put this up to my head.
Yeah.
I need to try to cool off no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like he's already, like, you could tell he's going to blow. He's going to blow a gasket. It's happening.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
And Robert Duvall, similarly, from a filmic standpoint, they do such a good job with him. One of my favorite scenes in the movie, just from a filmmaking perspective, like kind of filmmaking 101. Here's how a good way to tackle a scene. You watch him talk to his captain. The captain's always standing. Robert Duvall immediately comes in and is made to be seated. The way they shoot the captain is from low to high to make him look big and important in the frame. Robert Duvall is shot down low, and there's a lot of room in his frame, so he looks tiny, and he is the weaker one here, right? He's being dominated by his captain, who basically just says, I never liked you. I had to tell you, I have to try to, make sure you want to retire, but I'm glad you're going because you're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
which is wild because he's not.
Yeah, not at all. He's like the nicest dude, and nobody likes this poor guy.
It's really wild. But like these kind of things happen.
Right. And you could tell at one point it alludes to the fact, and it never goes into really saying it, but he was a beat cop. He was doing his thing. He was out on the streets detecting, and now he just works at a desk and takes statements because he got injured on the job and his wife freaked out. So he had to step back, and the compromise was he still wanted to be a police officer. It was his passion, but his wife cared so much about his safety that he's like, all right, I'll experience it vicariously through everyone else, and I'll sit and I'll be a desk jockey. And he gets made fun of endlessly for it. He takes shit for it. He takes shit from his wife for not constantly checking in with her.
His wife is rough.
She is. And she means well.
Right.
She really does. You can tell she loves him earnestly. And they both do a great job.
Every time you say Ernest, I get so happy.
Favored. And there is, they do a great job, but you can tell that Robert Duvall is willing to put all that aside so that she can do what so they can retire together, and all right, I'll do what you want to do. I'll live out your dream for us. And then this all gets in his way on his last day.
Right.
And it's like, he's the only one who gives a shit. He's the only one who's listening. He's trying to be a good cop.
Right.
He does such a good job, navigating that, and it's so the opposite of everything Michael Douglas has lost. He's going postal, as the old expression was, and Robert Duvall's holding it together in spite of all of that.
Right.
So he's he's taking this and he's bettering himself I'm going to become a better person because of what's happening here, where Michael Douglas is becoming unhinged completely at this.
Right.
They've hit their breaking point. Robert Duvall because he's leaving the force, Michael Douglas because he's just finally, that was it. It was the final, it was the literal last straw.
When you finally get their interactions together, it's so special.
It is.
It really is. There's a little bit of talking over the phone, and at the end, they finally meet face to face.
The way that Michael Douglas approaches his family is terrifying.
Yes.
And he's trying to be compassionate and what a measured performance from him in this movie.
It's an amazing performance.
It is.
If you've never seen it, it's something very different from
It is. And it's scary. It's like when he's being nice, it comes off the opposite way.
Right.
Oh, it's like him trying to be like when he wants his breakfast really bad at the place that is now serving lunch, and he fires off the gun, and he's like trying to assure, he's like, no, it's a sensitive trigger. It's a sensitive trigger. And he's trying to be nice, and he's trying to be polite.
Yeah.
And it's like he kind of sees himself from a distance. Like, it's so smartly done. Every part of the movie where there's a set piece that he gets to do a thing, he very much gives a really deep performance. Like, you see these other aspects of his personality you've never seen before. Mm-hmm. It's so good. And then finally it gets to the point where he's just like, I'm the bad guy.
Right.
Like, really? Like, I'm the bad guy?
Yeah.
It's so good because it's like finally,
the villain not knowing they're the villain.
That's right. It's just, you know what I mean? It's so good. And then him realizing that, well, the only thing now I can do to really support, I mean, you doubt the end, he really does. Like, the only way I can support my daughter truly is so that she gets insurance money from me, because I'm not going to have the insurance much longer. So I'm on a timeline here. So the fact that he, like, spoiler alert, but he pulls a water gun to pretend to shoot Robert Duvall, has no choice but to pull his gun and actually shoot Michael Douglas.
Right.
And just, you know what I mean?
What
like
a great scene.
And at the end, I would have got you.
I would have got you.
Yeah, it's like,
this would have been that movie, is basically what they're saying. This would have been every other movie like that.
Yep. Oh, it's so good. And you can see that moment kind of harken later on, like in Gran Torino and movies like that, where there's like that stalemate kind of thing. And the one character's ready to kind of make that ultimate sacrifice. And at the end, Michael Douglas does prove that he had the best of intentions. Right. But he went about it in the wrongest way possible, and there was no way back for him. What does it matter? I fucked up beyond recognition now. And he let his temper truly get the best of him. Yeah. And the only thing he could do in that moment was reel it back in a way that would benefit his family, which is sort of noble. But at the end, you question, you know what I mean?
Still.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God. Like, you can sympathize with him, and then you feel kind of slimy for sympathizing with him earlier in the movie.
He's easier to sympathize with earlier on.
He is.
And on the golf course, because that guy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That guy sucked.
Yeah, that guy did suck. And you're going to die in that stupid hat. It's so good. Schumacher does such a good job. It's no wonder he went on to make other movies, like coming off of Lost Boys into this. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's no wonder why he got to helm such large-scale projects.
Like Batman and Robin.
He did do that. Batman Forever before that one, unfortunately. I mean, they were large-scale projects.
Better than the other one.
Yeah, it's true. They were large-scale projects. But yeah, awesome movie. Let's get into the scores, and you can guess.
Do it.
Yes. IMDb, 7.6 out of 10.
Okay.
Rotten Tomatoes, let me jump over there real quick. 56 critics, 75%, which I think is surprisingly low.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that.
Audience, 50,000 plus. 84%.
Wow, nice.
Yeah. So what do you have a score for this film?
I have a score.
You have a score?
I do.
Okay. I'm going to guess it.
Okay.
I'm going to go with, we continue to be wrong at that, 9 out of 10 for this one, because it's a special kind of movie you don't see every day.
I'm going to guess your score is an 8.5.
My score is an 8.5.
Yes.
Absolutely. This movie fucking rocks. If you haven't seen it, it's, again, like Angel Heart. If nothing else, we picked two very different kinds of films. And I saw Falling Down around the same time I saw Angel Heart. Mm-hmm. And it was just like a point in my life where like I was seeing all these really transformative films and was like, man, movies can do all of this, and they can say all of this through the course of a cohesive story. And that's why I've come to review the movies I have for 199 previous iterations the way I do, is because movies like this have been able to say something so important with presenting a cinematic experience that if you didn't want to invest your brain into it, you could still really dig it.
Nice.
So what's your score, sir?
My score is an 8.5.
Also an 8.5.
Yeah.
That's the definitive score.
I thought we were trading 8.5s here. Is what
I thought you were going to put up a little bit higher, because I know you will give a lot to an extra good performance, and somehow Duvall and Douglas give peak performances in this film.
Yeah, I guess the only slight I could say against the movie is it drags a little.
Yeah.
It's all very good. It's just you trim it a little, and I think it's perfect.
Yeah. I think that's a fair point. There are some parts where it's a little bit like, okay, let's move on. Like, we got the point.
Although, like, him watching the home videos on the VHS is one of the greatest scenes. And there's no words or nothing.
With the dog.
Was he eating cereal, I think, if I remember?
And it's just like so with the dog sitting there chilling, waiting for everybody to get home. And he had Robert Duvall, who's with his ex-partner, and she's fantastic in this as well. And it's just like, I think she's the lead from Total Recall. if I'm not mistaken.
That might be right.
Yeah. So it's just like, man. So, and their chemistry is really good. And then the douchey guy who's like rip off Bill Paxton's there, and he sucks. And it's like,
yeah.
It's awesome. But yeah, 2 awesome movies that are just doing something you're not going to see every day in your run of the mill. I mean, granted, nowadays we get like the A24 movies.
Sure, they're close to this.
This like kind of what these movies were back in the day. That kind of like 5-figure movie where it's like this was around $12 million to make, and I can actually tell you because I have my phone. That's rare.
Yeah.
I should be able to pull up a budget.
A24s feel like what the Shyamalan movies used to feel like, where the twist was good.
Right.
You know?
Budget of 25. The movie made 96 at the box office.
There you go.
So a successful film, great for Schumacher, especially coming off The Lost Boys.
Yeah.
I think that's really awesome. It's just cool to see that kind of movie. And there's so many of these kinds of movies out there we get to see. And I think it's cool to highlight in like the rewind episodes we do where it's like, go back and check out a movie that we thought was really neat or different.
Yep.
We did that before, especially for you. Made me go back and watching black and white movies on a low budget. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's get some cool stuff like that that's really exciting that you get to see that's different. So I can't emphasize enough. And I know we watch a lot of the big tentpole movies.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with watch what you enjoy, but go out and seek something that looks a little bit different. You know what I mean? You're not going to hurt yourself too badly. Sometimes Tim comes off a little worse for wear having to watch some of those tougher projects.
Yeah, they're hard, man. But then you get those joys like Saber Rain,
Manborg. I mean, there's been a bunch that have come up.
The Killer Sofa. Which we interviewed the director.
Yes, we got to do that. Good. I mean, it's so cool to get to do the podcast just to have a chance to talk about. Because so often now we watch movies and it's like that was cool, and then you move on with your life.
Yeah.
But the fact that this ties me down to I have to think about it, and then I have to go back and take my notes, and then I have to go back and then take more notes, kind of. Again, and relive that situation. Like, what can I say that's thoughtful about a movie that has a man tearing a woman apart with an ice pick? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what that is, but that's
every horror movie.
I have to come up with something a little deeper to say, and this is, does that matter? And then it forces you to ask, what's important to you when you watch a movie? Is it performance? Is it the way it's filmed? Is it the message it's trying to convey? Is it the script? Is it the direction? What actually matters here? What resonates with you? Yeah. Let's face it. Us coming to YouTube, there's a bajillion us's on YouTube.
For sure.
There's a bajillion us's who podcast about it.
Yep.
But everybody, you who is out there listening, as much shit as we give you, have a unique perspective because some of those things matter in some order to you. You pull things out or you do choose not to pull things out. There's nothing wrong with watching a movie and going, I liked it because I shut off my brain and people got shot in the face.
Yep.
That is okay. Tim loves shoot 'em up.
I tried to get the wife to watch it with me the other day.
And
didn't work.
That movie's sweet.
That movie's awesome.
That movie is really cool. And then there's other movies like we were discussing 12 Angry Men.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like things like that. There's these really deep movies. Vertigo was one you've done in the past, where it's like these really deep movies. And it's like it takes a special place to be able to review something like Shoot 'em Up and something like Vertigo.
Usually in the same episode.
Yeah. So it's really cool to get to kind of navigate that and talk about it and then see. And over the time period, you can see Tim and I have kind of developed a shorthand of, I think this is how Tim would score something like this. But there's still surprises.
Sure.
There's still some like you bust out with I hear a 9 come out of there. I'm like, what was that number?
Yeah.
You count that high on this podcast? You don't do that.
And I also, some of the lower movies I think have gotten higher scores just because it's like, I can clearly see this person did what they were told.
Yeah.
They're doing it 100% by the book, what they're directed to do.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like sometimes, or it's like this concept was so cool. The movie fell so flat, but I love the fact that somebody tried to make this. Like, you're allowed to punch out of your weight class. That's okay. But I think for us, it tends to make it more endearing.
Right.
But it's a lot of fun to go out and enjoy a movie. It doesn't matter what your movie you enjoy is, unless that movie's Killer Waves. Other than that, though, it doesn't matter. Whatever you find joy in, however you choose to ingest a movie. If you're one of those people who like to pop back and forth, you play on your phone and watch a movie, you know what I mean? And it grabs your attention, you go back and watch it.
It's a bad sign if I pick up my phone during a movie.
Right, where I'm much more like an engaged viewer. I want to be challenged by a movie. And we've talked about movies like Hereditary and Requiem for a Dream, ones that are just like, I don't know if I want to get drugged through the muck,
Sure.
but this movie will drag you through the muck, kicking and
And
screaming.
you and I had two very different opinions about Hereditary.
Right, exactly.
So-
Yeah, it just is really cool to see. But then at the same time, it's like, cool, let's go watch an animated kids movie and get a whole bunch out of it. Or let's watch, you know what I mean, some obscure anime or obscure, you know what I mean, foreign title where the title does not make any sense.
I do love my foreign movies, especially if the title's weird.
Oh, yeah.
So good.
Yeah. Yep. So there's lots to unpack, and the good news is we're not going anywhere, right?
Nah.
We're on video now, much to
Sorry.
just run and hide, or just listen to it. You're allowed to listen to it.
Yeah,
Play
no.
on your phone. Just you don't have
Wherever
to
you
look.
get your podcast, the audio version is there.
Yeah. You should rate and review us on iTunes. I know we push a lot, but
Yeah.
if we get enough rate and reviews, we can actually be critics on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, or just interact with this video a lot. Tell us in the comments, you know, what you think. Did you watch any of these movies because we told you about it? That's what I really want to see.
Yeah, I think that's interesting.
You know?
If you have an opinion about these movies, we'd love to hear. That's what the comments is for.
Yeah.
We'll be putting these out pretty regularly, likely on the Tuesday. The audio version you'll be able to grab on a Sunday night or a Monday.
Yep.
So don't be afraid to go grab that. If you want a slightly different version because you're going to see more, or there might be a little extra snippet on one or the other.
Just sometimes that happens.
That happens.
Yeah.
So we are getting used to it. You'll probably see this setup change fairly regularly.
Based on how many AOL discs we have.
That's right. You know what I mean? The hope is to kind of keep evolving it and workshopping it into something better and better, where hopefully we can kind of convey what we're talking about the best way possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have nothing else to say.
Nothing else to say. I've had a blast doing these 200 episodes.
Yes.
We have seen some garbage.
Yes.
We have seen some greatness.
Yes.
And a whole lot of in the middle.
A whole lot of in the
A
middle.
whole lot of 6.0s in
That's
the
right.
middle, right?
Yes, you are absolutely right.
But hey, recommendations, put them in the comments.
Yes, we will do what you say.
We will. It will be like, hey, we did that 75 episodes ago.
That's right. Or we may say, I've never even heard of this. What is this wacky movie?
Bunraku, we did it.
That's right. We did.
That's right. Well, I'm happy.
I am also adequately prepared to leave.
All right. Bye.